right, let's talk nutrition and supplementation strategies that can help improve focus in people who have ADHD. In case you're unfamiliar with me, my name is Rachel. I'm a nutritionist, trainer, and a wellness coach, and I help people overcome overwhelm and overeating and get into their best body and mind through my nutrition, training strategy, and mindset coaching. I have hyperactive ADHD, and something that I used to really struggle with was emotional regulation, and I would turn to food at the end of the day when I would feel dysregulated and off, or I had a super busy and stressed out work day. It became very easy to fall into that pattern of overeating in the evening. I thought today, let's talk about some things that can help improve your focus during the day so your work days feel a little bit easier. Some things that can tame some of the impulsivity or hyperactivity, and basically just like natural, easy approaches that we can take to make this feel more manageable. I have also put together a complimentary blog post for this. So if you want to read it, or if you want to bookmark it and come back to it later, or if you want to check like the references and things like that, that is all over on the blog for you. Before I dive too far into it though, I did want to say thank you to today's video sponsor, Squarespace. They're an all-in-one website builder and host, and I've used them to host my health and fitness blog, Eat, Run, Lift, for the last decade. It doesn't matter if you have no coding experience, no web design experience, Squarespace make it easy to launch your web presence with their Fluid Engine builder, where you can take their gorgeous templates that are already pre-made, drag and drop, set the elements where you want them, implement your own branding so you can really stand out and sell on the web. They have fantastic SEO tools, so if you're leaning more into the blogging realm, you'll be able to see what's performing well, what's not, and get really in-depth analytics on all your content. If you're trying to launch a brand, you'll be able to set up your e-commerce. You can also build your mailing list so you can stay in touch with your audience. Even though I've used them personally for a decade now, don't just take my word for it, jump in, set up your free trial, explore all the features they have available to you, and when you are ready to hit publish, which will be sooner than you think because it's so easy to use, you can use my code, which is on the screen or in the description box, and that will give you a discount off your first purchase. Okay, so just to recap, in case you forgot or maybe you don't know, ADHD is associated with imbalances in neurotransmitters, particularly dopamine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine. Dopamine is typically called the reward chemical, and it plays a really crucial role in motivation, reward processing, and in decision making. And we typically tend to see that the dopamine levels in ADHD people are just lower as a baseline, especially in the prefrontal cortex, which is the region of the brain which is responsible for executive functioning. So this dopamine deficiency can contribute to the struggles with executive function, inattention, impulsivity, and distractibility, which are all really, really common traits of ADHD. Then we have norepinephrine, and this one's involved in arousal, focus, and emotional regulation. Sorry, I talk with my hands a lot as well, I know. This is going to help maintain wakefulness, it's going to enhance attention, and it's going to help regulate your mood. We do also tend to see reduced baseline levels of norepinephrine in people with ADHD. This is what tends to result in hyperactivity, restlessness, and even emotional dysregulation. And then we have epinephrine, which is also called adrenaline, and this is your fight or flight hormone that you're probably really familiar with. Now, interestingly, the levels of epinephrine in the brains of people with ADHD is actually pretty normal. Like, there's nothing too far different from people who are neurotypical. But what our brains struggle with is actually regulating epinephrine levels. So this can lead to heightened anxiety, this can lead to irritability, this can lead to difficulty containing emotions if we are overwhelmed. Now, given that the biological and environmental mechanisms behind ADHD are really multifaceted, they're really complex, we can't simplify it and have like a one-size-fits-all solution to managing it. But these are some common nutrition strategies, supplements, and just general lifestyle practices that can really, really make a difference. Now, keep in mind, I am qualified as a nutritionist and trainer, but I am not a doctor. So if you do want to make any big changes, make sure you are consulting your healthcare professional before you do so. The first thing we want to do, now a client that I was previously working with, one of her goals when she came to me was actually to get off the stimulant medication. And so one of the first approaches that we took, and this made the biggest difference for her overall, because after 3 months of doing this, she was able to taper down and then come off the medication. And that was simply having a high protein breakfast. And when I say high protein, I'm talking minimum 30 grams of quality protein, up to 50 grams if you want to, but 30 seems to be about the sweet spot for most people. On top of this, if you are taking stimulant medication for your ADHD, whether it's short acting, long acting, whatever it might be, having a high quality protein in your breakfast rather than having a carbohydrate dense breakfast or no breakfast at all actually impacts the way that your body uptakes that medication. Protein slows down the bioavailability of stimulant medication. So this allows them to enter the bloodstream over a longer period of time, meaning they will be effective for longer during the day. On the other hand, if we're just talking simple carbohydrates like just sugar, like if we're just having cereal for breakfast, or maybe just a couple of pieces of toast, or just a bagel, or maybe some pancakes with some syrup on top, like if we are just having a very carb dense breakfast that's very low in protein, that actually increases the speed at which our body processes the medication. Now, protein is made up of amino acids, which are the building blocks for neurotransmitters like dopamine and norepinephrine. So if we are helping our body create its own dopamine and its own norepinephrine, that's only going to increase our wakefulness, improve our emotional regulation, improve our mood, and our attention and our alertness, which are all things that we can struggle with when it comes to ADHD. Now next, the gut biome plays such a big role in the communication between gut and brain, which is called the gut-brain axis. Now, interestingly, there are some new studies that show specific strains of gut microbiota, when they are increased, to be correlated with decreased neural reward anticipation, which is associated with ADHD. It's not likely to be like one specific ingredient that fixes this, no like one magic thing, but instead we need to look at overall diet structure, overall nutrient balance. For most people, it doesn't hurt to bring in some probiotic type foods, whether it's kefir at the end of the day, or it's some sauerkraut or some kimchi. I tend to just throw in some kefir at the end of the day, closer to bedtime end, because I find that a really, really easy way to have that. There are supplements and things that we can do, but I always think like if we can approach it with a nutrition strategy, let's do that first. Now, magnesium deficiency has also been associated with ADHD. There are some studies suggesting that people who have ADHD tend to have lower levels of magnesium just in general compared to neurotypical individuals. Many people are deficient in magnesium in general. Bring these in your food sources is always going to be a good thing anyway. Spinach, almonds, black beans, all really good sources of magnesium if we are talking supplementation. I personally like to use magnesium glycinate before bed. I myself use about 800 milligrams, fair amount, but it also helps me with training recovery and things like that too. The research into the specificity of this is still new. They have done some open label pilot studies and things like that, which show over a 12-week period, there was improvements in focus, reduction in ADHD symptoms. But regardless, I feel like magnesium is one of those micronutrients that you should pay a little bit of attention to anyway, because it has so many impacts in your body. This next supplement, this is one of the things that I started taking in October last year, and literally like within 2 or 3 days, I was like, wow, I noticed a huge difference in my focus, just in my sustained energy throughout the day, just mentally feeling a little bit sharper throughout the day. It's also, I have clients who, when they come to me and they're like, oh, I might have ADHD, I'm not sure. We put them on this, we get a pretty good confirmation that, yeah, you might, and then they end up going and getting diagnosed, and it's like, yeah, you do. And I have some other clients who like are also taking medication for their ADHD, and when we combine the medication with this particular supplement, we see a huge improvement overall in focus, energy levels, mood, and so on. Even so, to the point where I'll have clients start taking it, and within like 3-4 days, they're like, hi, I noticed a huge difference off that. And I'm like, yeah, I thought you would. That supplement is Alpha-GPC. So Alpha-GPC is actually a choline precursor, which is converted to choline in the body. Choline is a neurotransmitter, which is essential for working memory. So we tend to see this have a big improvement in attentiveness, also just in like typical focus throughout the day. Like it makes your work days a little bit easier to get through. Don't get me wrong, it's not like a miracle. It's not going to fix everything. It can be a really, really helpful addition if we're also, paying attention to what we're eating, if we're getting some movement in during the day, if we are, structuring our days in a way that work for us. Like this can have a big impact. Next up, we have L-Theanine, which you can actually find in green tea. The increase in L-Theanine has been shown to reduce stress and reduce anxiety, which is obviously going to improve cognitive functioning if our brain is able to better manage what it's doing with the epinephrine. So there are some small studies now that do show the increase in L-Theanine actually helps people with ADHD reduce hyperactivity and impulsivity. It's also a really helpful one to include if you experience anxiety alongside your ADHD. It can help make that feel a lot more manageable. Next up, we have what I like to call practical hunger management. Now, I like to teach all of my clients about hunger scale and noticing their appetite and learning how to fuel their body based off their body's cues. We run into problems when we have neurodiverse individuals. If we are dealing with autism, we're talking about people who potentially have poor interoception. They can't recognize particular feelings in their body until it builds up to the point where it's overwhelming. If we're talking ADHD, we have a level of either distractibility or hyperfocus. So therefore, when your body's in those states, we're not paying attention to our body's cues. So this is where practical hunger management comes in. Practical hunger management is about having nutrition strategy that is more systemized, that is more more organized, that is more time bound, rather than just going off how our body feels. Because if we do have some type of neurodiversity there, like I said, going off our own body's cues isn't always reliable. And then, if we're talking about ADHD and we throw stimulant medications into the mix as well, you're not going to recognize your hunger. So we need a way around that. If we're not eating during the day, or if we're having long gaps without food because we can't recognize our hunger, we're too focused, or, off doing our own thing. And then at the end of the day, when our brain and our body finally gets to relax, we're hit with this huge wave of hunger because we haven't eaten enough through the day. We haven't fueled ourselves well enough through the day. And so it's very easy to fall into a pattern where you're not eating enough calories through the day and then you are overeating in the evening in order to compensate. And, by doing this, you would think like, oh, it'll balance out, but usually it doesn't, because our body requires more, or it thinks it requires more. And then we end up typically eating in a bit of a surplus, which can lead to weight gain over time. And you might think like, I don't eat very much. And it's like, okay, well, you're actually not eating very often, but you may be eating more than you need to when you have those big overconsumptions in the evening. So practical hunger management is going to involve setting up eating in a schedule that is semi-regular. Depending on what your day looks like, this could be every 3 or 4 hours we're having something to eat. Setting alarms, using reminder systems, putting the food in a place where you can see it and it's visually there for you are all helpful ways to do this. I personally also just like meal prepping. So if I have gotten stuck on a work task, then I can go out to my fridge and be like, okay, what have I got? There's something in the fridge, there's something in the freezer. I can just grab that and we're fine. Which leads me to my next point, which is planning and organization. This will help you make more intentional food choices and make more food choices that are aligned with your health goals. For example, instead of eating something directly out of a box or a packet, you're better off portioning out a serving size. Because if you get distracted on something else, if you're watching a TV show and eating, you're going to eat everything that is in front of you without meaning to, because we don't always have as good of a connection. On top of that, if you don't have the energy to meal prep, maybe just prep some ingredients. Make sure there's always something on hand that you can have to quickly throw together a balanced meal, and organize your kitchen in a way that makes sense to you. It doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense to, Pinterest or whatever. Who cares about that? We need to make sure that it actually makes sense for you and your needs and how you like to structure things. So for example, if you want to be eating more fruit and vegetables, but you're always putting them away in the drawer, if you don't see them, you're less likely to eat them. That's just how our brains operate. I also like to lean into time-saving items where possible. So when it comes to cooking things, you could think of air fryer or a slow cooker are really helpful. Or when it comes to ingredients, if you've watched any of my vlogs, you might see sometimes I'm just buying pre-chopped salad mix, pre-diced pumpkin, and so on, because I want to be able to sometimes just throw things together, put together a really simple meal, especially when at the end of the day, I might be feeling low energy, I might be fatigued. That's when I'm more likely to make a poor choice with my nutrition. Whereas if I know I've got something that I can put together really easily, it becomes the simple option to make that healthier choice. So while of course we do want to be focusing on whole lifestyle interventions, whether it's therapy, whether it's lifestyle adjustment, whether it's medication, if you want to go down that path, but these nutrition and supplementation tweaks can make a big difference for you. I hope 1 or 2 of these feels applicable to you, feels easy enough to integrate for you. If you're stuck or you need more guidance, or you want to pick my brain on more of these things, I do have coaching options available. So I'll leave a link to that in the description box. You can see what that is all about. And don't forget, I also have the blog post linked for you below as well. But I hope you're well, and I'll catch you in my next upload.